Hello and welcome to my review of the fifth episode of the Ms.Marvel series. A couple of things before we get started. So, first of all, obviously spoiler warning for the episode. And second of all, my review videos for shows that are ongoing are going to be a little more minimal in effort because I want the video to be out as soon as possible, which is also why this video is out way before my typical upload time. But with that out of the way, the fifth episode doesn't really start where we left off last episode. Instead, we get a nice reel of archive footage from the partition and the events surrounding it. After that, we start in 1942, where we see the origins of Kamala's family. We see how Aisha and Hassan meet and why they decided to leave their home and board the train to Pakistan. After arriving at the train station, Aisha gets stabbed by Najima and Sana gets lost. Using the last of her powers, it seems like Aisha is actually the one that is responsible for the end of episode 4. I'm not really sure yet how she did it, because I don't think she actually summoned Kamala, but my guess at the moment is that in that moment she inscribed the writing on the bangle and sharded it with the condition of perhaps Najima touching it, but the person wearing that bangle gets thrown back in time to help Sana and be the trails of stars to lead her back to Hassan, just as Kamala did in this episode, because it was Kamala all along. Now, I'm not really sure yet how all of that is possible, since the way time travel is shown here is not really how they explained it, how it works in Endgame, but I suppose we will either figure it out next episode or in interviews afterwards. One thing that could make this possible could be the missing overseer of a timeline, Kang, or who remained, but I will not condone the show or condemn the show before having everything the show wants us to have. Now, all in all, I like this first part quite a bit. Sadly, the show is actually the first time I've ever really come in contact or heard about the partition, which is a real shame, because it affected so many lives. How could you just never even mention it in school? That just seems wrong. But let's come back to the episode. We then come back to the present time, where there is a crack in the veil between the Noor dimension and our dimension. The two remaining clandestine members try to walk through it, but we finally get the Genesis. But apparently neither Najima nor the other woman are inhuman, so they just die, which sadly actually didn't look well, which makes me quite sad after how much effort and care was put into especially the first two episodes. But now, there are things in this case of falling skeletons that looked really bad. But before Najima dies, she apparently redirects some of the Noor essence, which I'm just gonna call it for now until they actually say Terrigenesis or Terrigen Mist, to Cameron, who gets his apparently quite comic accurate powers thanks to that. But how did Najima know that Cameron would survive this? Is it because he's half Noor, half human, or half Noor, half something other? If so, why didn't he already know they would die when they try to get back to the dimension? Or did they? But then why would they want to go back? Or was Najima's plan actually to kill Cameron well, so they could be back together in the afterlife? I'm not really sure. I hope we'll find out next week. After we have some nice scenes with Kamala, her family, and also with Kareem, where she assembles further pieces of her superhero costume, we see Kamran, who is in desperate attempt to flee from damage control, and sneaks up on Brian, who actually tells us his name is Bruno? Crazy, who would have thought? Now, jokes aside, the episode ends as abruptly as possible while Bruno's house gets blown up. Now, I'm quite interested in where that is gonna leave us, because I don't think Bruno is gonna die, and neither will Cameron, because why would you give him powers then, like 2 minutes later, just kill him? Sadly, this episode was way too short. It was like 32 minutes without credits and the starting wheel and the previously on section, so I hope the last episode is gonna be longer in return and gonna make up for that. But either way, I like the episode and I'm excited for the final next week. Now, do I think this is the best penultimate episode in the MCU shows? No, not really, but it's good nonetheless. It just doesn't have the impact that, for example, WandaVision had. For me, at least. That's probably gonna be different for you. So, let me know your thoughts and feelings about this episode in the comments. Like the video and subscribe to the channel so don't miss any further videos from me. And see you tomorrow for my retro review of Star Wars Episode 1 and 2. Bye.